There's about 7 steps to the home buying process, and it really starts with, deciding to buy a home. And, when you're deciding to buy a home, one of the first things you want to do is you want to start asking yourself some questions like, why are you buying? What are you looking to accomplish? Are you buying your first home? Are you buying a home because you need more space? Or are you downsizing? What are you looking to accomplish in the features of a home or benefits of a home? Are you looking for a 3-bedroom, a 4-bedroom, a property with a yard, maybe a property with no yard? Those are the things that you have to be thinking about, and the answer to those questions are going to determine the whole search and research process. It's going to determine when you start looking at the property, different properties in the market, as well as what locations of your town are you going to focus on, or maybe specific school districts. And we do know that the buying process it's a financial decision that you'll be making, but it's also an emotional decision. And it's our job as real estate professionals to make sure that we're there to answer any questions and guide you through that process. The second part of the home buying process is really connecting to a knowledgeable real estate agent. I mean, now that you have an understanding of what you're looking for, what you're looking to accomplish, now it's time to connect with a real estate agent and start the communication back and forth. I mean, we want to know more about what you are looking for in a home. We will discuss the location, the school districts, and other features that you want in the property. It's really important that we understand what it is that you're looking to accomplish. We'll also talk to you about the time frame. Make sure that you're making the right moves at the right time. We don't want to miss out on any great buying opportunities. Next, the third process is really about the bank approval. And what you've got to understand about bank approval or getting pre-qualified is that it's not really about the real estate agent trying to identify whether or not you're capable of buying a property. The bank approval is more to do with gaining leverage over the seller or gaining leverage over the competing buyer that might be looking at the same property that you're looking at. In other words, if you have a letter that shows that you can purchase at a certain price point, then when we get to the negotiations, I can present that letter to the other real estate agent and prove to them that if the seller chooses your offer over anyone else that's looking at the same property, then they know that you're capable of actually closing the transactions. You'll see that there'll be times where 2 buyers will be going for the same property. And it's very common because I'm going to show you the best properties possible. So other buyers are going to be looking at that same property. And if 2 buyers are looking at the same property and both of them have an offer on the table, if your offer was a couple $1,000s less, but you had a pre-approval, and the other buyer had an offer that was contingent on financing, and maybe their offer was a little bit more, the seller will be tempted to take your offer even for a little less money, but they'll take your offer because they're assured, based on your pre-approval, that the transaction will close. So that's a very part of the process of the home buying process, is to make sure that you have a pre-qual letter. The fourth step in the home buying process is really starting the search. This is the fun part. This is the time where, we take all the information that we've discussed, the features and the benefits that you're looking for, the price point that you're looking for, whether it's a home or a condo, and we start sending you information. We start sharing with you what's available for sale right now within your parameters, and you get to look at those properties. We'll start off with sending you a wide variety of properties for you to view. You can then communicate back to us which ones you like, which ones you don't like. Maybe you start driving around to the different neighborhoods to determine what communities you like best, what section of town you like best. As you start to narrow down, your likes and dislikes and share that information with us, then we can then go back to the computer, refine your search, and then start sending you properties that come on the market that fit your needs. And sometimes there's good properties already on the market, but maybe they're a little bit high priced, maybe they're priced too high. Well, what we'll also do is set you up on alerts that when that property gets reduced into a more favorable price point, then you'll get that information just in case you'd like to go out there and take a look at your property. So this process is really the fun process. This is where we explore, we really learn the whole market, and you start to go in there and look at homes, and and trust me, you'll see many homes that you like, you'll see many homes that you don't like, but at the end of the day, we'll kind of refine those searches and find the perfect property for you. Now that you've found the perfect property, now it's time to make the offer. And making the offer, to me, is probably one of the most important steps through the home buying process, because how you construct your offer, what you initially offer to a seller, will determine, in most cases, will determine the willingness of that seller to compromise and come down on their price, or they may actually hold firm on their price, which is not what we want them to do, because as your representation, my job is to get you the property of your dreams, but also make sure we get it at the right price. And if we can get it, at a favorable price to you, then we're both going to be happy at the closing table. So how we construct the offer, not only do we have to look at data and present an offer that's consistent with what the market says, but we want to make sure that we make an offer that's not too low, but at the same token, we want to leave yourself some room to negotiate so you can get a good value. The way that we do that is we really look at the data, we construct the offer, we send the offer to the other agent or to the seller direct. And when we do that, we will write up a summary explaining to them how we came up with the price that we're offering. So if we're offering a lower price than we probably know that they're going to want, then we're going to offer them an explanation so we can make it easy for them to understand that we're not just a shark trying to steal their property. We're actually using data, and we're using logic to determine an offer price. When we support our offer with data and an explanation, we're more likely to get a fair counter back to us. So that's things that we're responsible for doing, and depending on the property, the price, the competition for the property, all of those factors will come into play. We'll talk about this, we'll sit down together, and we'll decide what the right strategy is for making our initial offer, and then of course negotiating throughout until we get 100% meeting of the minds. Now that we've got an offer on the table, and let's just assume for a moment that we made a great offer and we were able to get a favorable counter from the seller. Maybe we had to compromise just a little bit, but we feel good about the price that you're going to have to pay for the property. Now it's time to go ahead and sign the contract, and then push the contract to a closing department to make sure that they manage all the details necessary to go from contract to closing. And there's a lot of details, there's a lot of things that we have to pay attention to. I always recommend through the closing process that you get a inspection on any property that you purchase. I mean, we can go into a home or a condo and see that it looks fantastic, but at the same time, I still want you to get an inspection, because we really don't know what's behind the walls or under the house and in the attic. And quite frankly, most real estate agents don't have a trained eye to pick out anything that could need repair. That's not, the skill sets of a great real estate agent. And maybe it's a skill set of yourself, but I still recommend you get an inspection, have somebody looking under the hood to make sure that you're not buying a lemon. So the inspection process is one of the things that our closing department will manage with you, as well as coordinating all of the tasks and the conversations necessary that are needed to be done with attorneys, the insurance companies, any utility companies, the lender. There's a lot of documentation that goes back and forth between a lender, the real estate agent, you, the buyer, as well as the attorney. So our closing department will go ahead and handle all of that stuff. It's one of the advantages that you get with working with me, is not only do you have myself, helping you identify the right property, but we have a team of individuals that are going to be there to support us through the process and make sure that we get through the contract and the closing process smoothly. And again, we just want to make sure that's an enjoyable experience for you. Last but not least, it's closing day. You started off at the beginning, deciding that you wanted to purchase, or you decided that you wanted to purchase. We go out there, we connect. Now you find myself, knowledgeable real estate agent. We've got bank approval. We've started our search. We found our property. We made an offer. Now we've got a contract, and now it's closing time. It's the day of closing. We're going to end up meeting at the attorney's office at the day of closing, and the attorney's going to sit down with you and walk you through all the paperwork, not only the contract once again, but also the HUD statement, which is like where the estimated closing costs are all going to be noted. Of course, you will get to view that statement before the closing time. So if there's any questions, I'll also review it. We can go through that together. And if there's any errors or questions that we have, we can address that with the attorney even before the closing day. But on the closing day, he's going to walk through all of that final, the final paperwork with you, loan documents, etc., and make sure that everything's done properly. Because at the end of this meeting, he's going to then send that paperwork to the assessor's office or the county courthouse, and they're going to record that transaction. So this is the day that's it's fun. It could be a little bit stressful. This is kind of where the end meets the beginning. It's the end of the buying process, and it's the beginning of your enjoyment of your new property. One of the things that we want to make sure that we remember, though, is that we also want to try to set the closing date or the closing time to be in the morning at the attorney's office. So therefore, we can close it in the morning, and there's plenty of time for the paperwork to get to the courthouse and record at the courthouse, because once you get it recorded is when you get the keys and you can officially take possession. So again, this is a fun day. And this is the time that you get your keys and you get to go on and enjoy the property that you found. So basically, there you have the 7 steps to the home buying process. And I just want you to know that, buying real estate should be an enjoyable experience for you, the purchaser, as well as the real estate agent that you choose to work with. And my goal is to just make sure that you find the property of your dreams, you don't overpay, and the process runs smoothly. And at the end of the day, you can count on us to be transparent, communicate through the whole process, and represent you to the best of our abilities to make sure, again, that the process is enjoyable to you.